To my future self, this is how I figured out saving and loading. This is a conglomeration of 3 different tutorials I watched. I'll link them down below. A lot of the code, well, most of the code is from these 3. I just kind of stuck them all together the way I felt like it. It's very simple scene so far. We have a world, there's an icon, and a little GUI that's just the save and load button. All that happens is I can move the icon around and then save and load. Right now it's not connected to anything, so I'm getting some debug errors. The idea is I can move it here, save it, move it somewhere else, and load the last save, and it'll pop up back there again. So, first things first. Oh, I also added a global script, which has nothing. The icon just has a click input event to change its position. The buttons right now are connected to themselves. Eventually they're going to be connected to the global script, singleton, auto load, whatever you want to call it. And same with the save button. Load save. So first I will add the global as a singleton. So I'll connect these first, even though I haven't, well, I guess I should set this up first. This is totally unscripted, so you'll have to forgive me for losing my place many a time. I'll just create a save function and a load function. These are, if you've watched Game Endeavor's tutorial, this is pretty much the same thing, except for he had a dictionary right in here. I think the file that he was having everything, and I wanted to have it somewhere else. So I have my functions, and I'm going to go really quick, connect these buttons, and since I made a the global script is a singleton now, I can reference it with my connection. So that is load save function. The save button connected to global will have save. So now these buttons, if I run it again, should not, good, no longer giving me an error because they are connected. And that's really it for the buttons. So in the global script, we'll start with constant saved. And again, this is pretty much exactly what, up until a point, this is exactly what Game Endeavor did. I just copied it. I'll link below. Credit where credit is due. Saved me quite a bit of time. So I'm saving to a specific directory and referencing the save path so that I don't have to type it a million times. So first off, we create a dictionary. Not going to have anything in it. We'll deal with that later. Oh man, I'm looking at another screen here, so it's also the first time I've had sound in any of these videos, so that'll be interesting. So creating a data dictionary, creating my directory because we want to save this somewhere, and just like good old Endeavor did, if directory exists, we're going to save, or sorry, if directory does not exist, we're going to make it. Make dir recursive save dir. Actually, that's wrong. That should be save path, I think. I might have to double check that later. I am probably wrong. Anyway, so make a directory if it doesn't exist. Here is where I'm going to shove everything I'm going to save, but I'll do that later, just so I can finish these up. So we're going to, man, I'm not used to looking at another screen. Noticing the typos over there too, man. So we are making, we're gonna create a file and check if the file, if we get an error or not. Create a new file, and if we get an error, the error is going to pop up in here. And if there is basically no error, we keep moving forward. We will take that file, we will store our data dictionary, and then we will close. And that's it for that. I believe now that yeah, we're just making the directory here, so actually I was right the first time. So the loading is very similar. We're going to again have our empty dictionary for now. We are going to make a new file. And if, once again, file, well, this is a little different. Saying up here is directory. Here we're saying if the file exists, add save path. And we're going to call an error again. We're going to open it. Well, we're opening it, and if there is an error, if there's no error, man, I'm way off today. If there is no error, we keep rolling. And if it doesn't work, we can check later to see why there was no error. So we check for an error, or I guess I typed all that without explaining. Create new dictionary, new file. If the file exists, from up here, we will try and load it. If we do not get an error, we will turn our new dictionary into all the information that we had saved, and then close it. And then here at this point, we would add a bunch of stuff to load. I'm not going to worry about that at the moment, because I'm going to hop over to, well, actually I'm going to make a new script. Here's where the videos kind of diverged. Well, Game Endeavor talked about having a dictionary in here and saving that info there. There's another really good video. It went over some really great concepts, but it didn't really explain the code. It was also using resource files. I'll link that below, but it was talking about using a game state service, I believe he called it, which gave me an idea to just use a script and this script will have a class and also be a tool that I can then add to anything I want. Like I can add it to, actually I'll go ahead and do that now. I can add it, if I did that right, save state. Oh man, maybe, did I not save that? Maybe I didn't save. I did not save that. Doing great. So now I can add save state. So now I can add this to anything. And as this is the child of all the things I want to save, I can just call this in the global script, which is, I'll link the video below. He explained it much better than I could, but so the first thing I'll do with that is I'm going to add it to a group, and I'll just call it, make everything simple, save state. So then back in the global script, here I can create a variable called save data, and it's going to get the tree and get nodes in, oh, a dot, get nodes in group. Man, oh boy, I'm having a rough time this morning. Save state. So now this is going to get every little node that is attached. It's going to call all those. And so any could have I guess tons of these nodes out there, and it'll call out to them for all the info that we're going to save. If that made any sense, I'm not really sure. So in addition to that, since it's going to be attached to, or this is what is going to be speaking to the singleton, we're going to add a save function similar to what we had in the global singleton global script. But this time, so now the global script is going to, I'm going to write it here in a second. It's going to get all the nodes out there that have the save state group, and we're going to tell it to save data and load data. So to do that, we will say, oh boy, so X, and so for every one of the nodes we get in the save data group, we are going to add them to our dictionary. If I can find my place X. And for this one I have to use get parent, because otherwise it's just going to give me the save state. It's going to give me a dictionary that might be something like save state with, you know, I'm going to be recording position for this example. It's going to give me a position, blah, 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 you know. But I don't want save state. I want the actual name. Maybe it's totally fine, but I thought it was weird. So I want the actual name of the parent, which in this case will be icon. So back here, so we're going to add to our dictionary the parent name of whatever save state is attached to. And we're going to tell that node also to run the save function, which we haven't written yet, but that's what this is doing. And similar, but a bit different for loading. We say var load data, load data. Oh man. We're going to get tree, nodes in group, save state, if I can spell, and for X and load data this time. We're going to, again, take our dictionary. We don't need to add the parent this time because the naming is already going to be there. And then we are going to call load save. Oh boy. I'm going to call the load save function and pass it data. Oh, whoops. Man, this is just, it's been a day. I will say that it has been a day. So yeah, it's similar, except for we're calling the load function and we're passing it the dictionary from the original save. So that is basically it for save, or the global script. So now, I guess back in the save state, what we're going to need to do for both of these is get the parents, since these are always going to be attached to something. Probably can just type it out each time, but you know, might as well. So we have a parent, and we're going to return. We're going to return the parent save data. Oh, you know, probably jumping ahead of myself. So all the info you want, or again to myself, all the information you want to be saving, you're going to need to put in a dictionary. And I've just chosen to call it save data. And for this example, I'm just going to add a position, which at the start will just be a vector 2. So the save state is going to go to the parent, grab that dictionary, send it over to the singleton autoloader here, and then save everything. And then later when we load it, it's going to take that info and send it all to the load data here. So we send it, or it's calling. I would like to go off on a tangent on what return does, because I never understood it till recently. But up here we are calling the save function, and it is returning. We're asking it something, and it is giving us this info back. Instead of when we're calling load, we're actually sending it something, not asking it to return something. So we got our dictionary here. So for X in data, and again we have to use parent name, because I want the dictionary at this point will be reading, it'll be reading, since it's called icon, it'll be you know, icon, and it'll be a sub-dictionary with position and then a vector 2. So I'm going to have to make sure that I'm telling it the parent's name, otherwise it'll just spit out something like node 1234, which will cause an error. So for each item in the dictionary I got under the parent's name, and we'll just check really quick to make sure that the parent even has this information. If not, just ignore it. But if we have it, then we will add it, or I guess replace. We will replace we will update this with the information that we got from the load. I guess previous save. So at this point, they should be working fine for some things. Like if I had like a bunch of just values in here, or strings or whatever, those would all be on there. But things like position, that will not. I mean, it'll be in here, but it's not actually going to update. So if, like, I guess we're going to see if I mess something up. So I might save it, but it's not loading. It should pop me back right where I was, but it's not. And so I need to have, so aside from having this and having this and whatever I want to save, I'm also going to have a few more functions. They're pretty short, well, depending on what you want in them. I'm just going to call this one update data, and then load data. These seem kind of counter naming wise, they seem kind of weird. So these I'm going to need to, in the save state, before I return the data to the singleton, I want to have the parent update its data so that I have updated data, like positional data. And so I return that. And then after I get all the data back, I can then load it. Then I can tell the parent to load all that data. So, for example, here, all we're doing is updating the position. So I'm going to take save data. I'm going to say, position is going to equal my actual, or the sprites, just this little icon's actual position on the screen. And then when we're actually going to tell it to load the data, when it's actually going to load the data, we load it all and then make sure the parent actually loads the data. So now when we run it, if I've done it correctly, so I saved them right here. Now we go back to our spot. Nope, I saved it up here. Now we go back over there. Some of the videos I'll link, they go over doing all this, and you can just do it inside each scene itself, but I figured it might be easier to have this extra bit of code you can add as a child. That way, every scene you're not having to add it to a group, you're having to connect it to the main function itself. You can just do it all in this once. So any scene I create, I just have to stick this on there. I won't have to modify anything. All I'll have to do is make sure to add a dictionary called save data and these two functions, and update, put on here anything I want to retain, and then in here anything I want to update as the scenes change. Hopefully that made sense.